In this video, we are going to review what has been learned from Unit 3, Lessons 7 through 9. In order to complete this lesson review, you will need your iControl student workbook and something to write with. If you do not have what you need at this time, please pause the video and press play when you are ready to continue. If you do not need to view all of the lessons in this video, feel free to skip to the lessons you need using the times provided. The 4 stages of the emotion control process are situation, focus, think, and act. You'll identify useful strategies during each of these 4 stages that will help you control your emotions and achieve more positive outcomes. In Lesson 7, you'll learn about 2 strategies: choose your situation or change your situation, so your outcome is more positive. The first strategy you'll learn is called choose. To use this strategy, you think about how you felt in the past when you encountered the same situation or a similar one. You used your past knowledge to avoid situations you remember as negative or uncomfortable. Instead, you choose situations you recall as positive to help you in your current situation. For example, if you know from past experience that every time you visit a certain barber or hairstylist, you end up disappointed with the results, you become angry or frustrated. You can use the choose strategy to avoid this feeling by choosing to go someplace else and increase your satisfaction with your hairstyle. So, the choose strategy is all about choosing a positive situation and avoiding a negative one. Let's try to apply your new strategy to a situation that could happen at school. You need to use the restroom right before 3rd period. Most of the time, however, there's a bunch of kids hanging out in the hall right by the restroom door, making fun of everyone who walks by. Knowing this, and remembering how nervous you felt going in there in the past, you use the choose strategy to avoid this uncomfortable situation. You can go to another restroom, or you can go at another time. Those are great ways you could avoid this situation altogether. In some situations, you're responding to just one emotion, such as being nervous about the mean kids in the hallway. But sometimes it gets more complicated because you're dealing with more than one emotion. You may be feeling worried, but you might also be experiencing anger at those kids for disrupting your routine. Like the thermometers on the slide, you might be more angry than worried. But either way, you can still use the choose strategy in these cases by avoiding that situation. Basically, you can use your past knowledge to avoid situations that result in emotion conflict and choose situations that are positive. By using your self-control, you can choose the best action rather than just acting on the strongest emotion. Sometimes you find you're already involved in a difficult emotional situation, and you have to change the situation in some way to avoid a negative outcome. When this happens, you can use a strategy called change. Depending on the situation, there may be several ways you can modify it or make changes to it. Going back to the haircut example, if you were already there, but the only stylist available was the one who does a lousy job on your hair, you could change the situation by waiting for someone who does a better job. When you talked about goal setting, you learned to visualize what your goals will look like when you achieve them. You learned that visualizing the details helps you to stay focused and motivated towards reaching your goal. This visualization strategy is much like the choose and the change strategies because both require that you imagine what will happen and make a commitment to act in a particular way. Your knowledge of what the situation will be like can help you decide whether to move forward or away from it. Think about the example of the hairstylist. Envisioning your bad haircut can help you decide to use the choose or the change strategy to avoid that bad situation. Envisioning a good haircut somewhere else can motivate you to go to another shop. Locate handout 7.1 in your student workbook. You'll work only on the situation part of the emotion process for today. You'll try to think of specific ways you could change the situation by using the choose or the change strategies. First, read the situation. Then pause the video to fill in the chart. Think about how Jose could use the choose strategy to avoid this kind of situation in the future, and the change strategy so he's not so nervous since he's already in the situation. When you're done, press play. Let's turn to the content questions for Unit 3, Lesson 7 in your iControl student workbook to check your understanding of this lesson. Pause the video while you answer the questions. When you're done, press play. For question 1, if you selected B, you're correct. A strategy that you can use to manage your emotions before you are in a bad situation is choose. For question 2, if you selected C, you're correct. We can use the change strategy when we are in a situation to avoid a negative outcome. In Lesson 8, you'll learn ways you can shift your thinking so you can choose the best action when you have difficult emotions. When we first started eye control, we talked about shifting the way we think. To test our ability to shift, we did an activity where the rules changed based on whether there was a red border around the object or not. Then, in Unit 2, we extended the use of shifting to explain how you can resolve conflicts between competing goals. You learned that the choose and change strategies can be used to manage difficult or intense emotions. Unfortunately, you can't always choose or change the situation you're in because you may not have control over what's happening around you. For example, choose or change strategies can't help you if you're stuck in traffic and have an impatient driver driving too close behind you. You can't change the situation. Fortunately for you, it's possible to control emotions without actually changing the situation. You can use shifting to change what you're focusing on, and by changing your focus, you can lessen the intensity of the challenging emotion. There are two ways you can use these focus strategies. You can shift your focus by focusing in on the emotion you're experiencing, or you can shift your focus by distracting yourself or focusing away from that emotion. It may seem strange to concentrate or focus in on a difficult emotion, but there are times when this is a useful thing to do. Imagine that you're at home alone, watching a scary movie about zombies. You begin to imagine you hear noises outside, and your fear gets so intense that you can't ignore it. Focusing in on your fear can actually lessen the intensity of the emotion because it allows you to calm yourself down and think clearly about the situation. You may think about the fear and what caused it and tell yourself that it's only a movie. It's not real. You may focus in on how your body feels and be able to change those feelings by thinking about them. By using the focus in strategy, you can reduce the fear. Another way to use focus in is to think about how you will feel in the future. Imagine you found out before school that you're going to the theme park this weekend with your aunt and you get to bring a friend. You're so excited and you want to tell your best friend, but you won't see that person until the next class. By thinking about what it will be like to tell your friend the news, you can lessen the intensity and pay attention in class. When emotions are intense, thinking about anything other than how strongly you feel is hard. The focus away strategy works by helping you focus on other sensations that are not as intense. For example, when you stub your toe, you could use focus away by focusing on any of your other senses, like the sound of some music or the sun shining on your face. This helps you distract yourself from the emotion. The focus away strategy is a way of disrupting your intense emotions by changing your focus. Focus away works because it interrupts your unpleasant emotion and helps you focus on something else. Imagine that you were planning to go on a trip during spring break, but your mother couldn't get time off from work. Now you can't go. You're sad about it, but you know it can't be changed, so you decide to distract yourself by thinking about making spring break plans with friends. Shifting your focus from the sad emotion to something happy can help make the sadness less intense. Justin is 10 minutes late getting to the youth center to play basketball with his friends. The coach thought he wasn't coming, so he let another kid have Justin's place on the team. Justin thinks he'll be able to get right into the game, but the coach tells him he'll have to wait until the next game. Justin tells the coach that he couldn't help being late. He had to stay after school to talk to one of his teachers. The coach won't change his mind, and that makes Justin really angry. Devontae, the kid who took his place, made a comment about Justin just having to deal with it. This makes Justin even angrier, but he knows the rules. If he starts a fight, coach won't let him play for a whole week. If Justin would use the focus in strategy to manage his anger, he could focus in on his anger and his body's feelings and use that information to calm down. He could think about enjoying watching the game, think about how good he'll feel when he gets to play the next time, think about how his mom will feel proud that he didn't get in trouble with the coach. Locate handout 8.2 in your student workbook. For this activity, you'll fill in the focus part of the emotion process and think of ways to manage the emotion by using the focus in or focus away strategies. Now, pause the video to read the scenario and fill in the chart with what she did, just like what we did for situation strategies. And then think about how Tara could use the focus in and focus away strategies to make her emotions less intense. When you're done, press play. Let's turn to the content questions for Unit 3, Lesson 8 in your Eye Control Student Workbook to check your understanding of this lesson. Pause the video while you answer the questions. When you're done, press play. For question 1, if you selected B, you're correct. Focusing in on your emotion can lessen its intensity. For question 2, if you selected A, you're correct. The focus away strategy is a way of disrupting your intense emotions by changing your focus. In Lesson 9, you'll review the situation and focus strategies. Choose and change are the two situation strategies you can use to better control your emotions. The choose strategy is about choosing a positive situation or avoiding a negative situation. The change strategy is about changing a situation to avoid a bad outcome. There are times when you can't control a situation. When this happens, you can use strategies to shift your focus. This helps you control your emotions. Remember that you used focus in and focus away as two helpful strategies. You can focus in to concentrate on your emotions or focus away to distract yourself from feeling your emotions so intensely. You need to use your brain skills to help you in situations where you use these focus strategies. First, it's important to use impulse control to avoid acting on the most intense emotion. You need to use shifting when you use your two focus strategies, focus in and focus away, which helps you lessen intense emotions and choose the best action. Now pause the video and locate handout 9.1 in your student workbook and read the scenario where you need to use your strategies. You need to decide which strategies to use to have the best outcome. When you're done, press play. Let's turn to the content questions for Unit 3, Lesson 9 in your iControl student workbook to check your understanding of this lesson. Pause the video while you answer the questions. When you're done, press play. For question 1, if you selected C, you're correct. During PE, Ryan is made fun of because he is shorter than everyone else and is always last to be chosen for football. He feels really sad when this happens. If he were to use a focus strategy, he would remember how good he is at playing soccer. For question 2, if you selected A, you're correct. The focus away strategy is a way of disturbing your intense emotions by changing your focus. During lunch, Shaniqua likes to sit with her friends and work on her homework. Her friends, however, keep asking to copy her homework, and it is making her frustrated. If she were to use a situation strategy, she would sit with other friends. Thank you for taking the time to catch up with iControl today. In the following lessons, you'll continue to learn different strategies you can use to manage your emotions.